Greetings and salutations to all you folks out there. Today we're going to be tackling a 2v2v2 on the Dark Heart. Yes, it is a three-way cataclysm of chaotic events. We'll introduce the teams in just a second, but first I have a couple of announcements to make. Number one, I do need replays. I know I say that a lot. I know a lot of you folks have sent me replays in the last couple of weeks, but I do always need a steady stream of games. So even if it's not your replays, if you've seen awesome ones floating around in Aeolus being talked about, if you have some on hand that you can send in, games that you've played, even if you sent me a game before and it didn't get casted, that doesn't mean the next one won't. So do send me some replays. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that there is a podcast on the channel. You should totally check that out. Orbital Potato and Rhapsody got together with me to talk about a variety of different things. There is an audio version as well that's posted in the description of the video, so you should check that out and maybe leave a little bit of feedback, what you think about it. I know there's a couple of technical difficulties, as there always are in first-time events, but we're planning on doing those quite regularly. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and introduce the teams and get into this. On the left-hand side, we have a Chief Jaguar and Bone Collector. Those guys are going UEF and Seraphim, respectively. On the right-hand side, we have Hyena and Syndicalist, both going Cybern, and Syndicalist dropping a double Air Factory build right there. That's a little unusual, especially when you have such high power requirements for the early portion of the game. We'll talk about why in just a second. And then we have Rob going Seraphim, and last but certainly not least, Burfy going Cybern with the obligatory second Air Factory. Alright, so Dark Heart. Most of you guys have played this. You should probably know that there are some wrecks to be talked about. There's a few T1 wrecks. There's a frigate and a destroyer on each side of every one of these expansions. There is also some reclaim around in the middle, and 3 mass extractors for the folks who claim the island. On the islands, actually that's not an island, that's a peninsula. You are on an island. On the spawn points, there is a destroyer for each player. There's a couple of rocks around in the general vicinity, and you have 5 mass extractors apiece. 6 if you count the ones on the rear expansion there. So you don't have a whole lot of mass extractors, but you do have a lot of reclaim, and that means that you need to get as many P-gens down as you can very, very early, and you need to upgrade your mexes using this temporary income to create some permanent income. And down here on the left side, we have got our first little shenanigan going on. Rob is shooting a T1 engineer over to the island to steal the reclaim from a Chief Jaguar. He's going to try to deny that, and then he's probably going to walk his ACU over here and try to get all 3 destroyer wrecks on his side of the map, which is going to be a tremendous boost to his economy. He's reclaimed about 1,000 mass off of this destroyer so far, getting just enough in there to supplement his build, and then he will get the rest of his income for upgrades from this mess over here. There is a Zooey on this side trying to anticipate an engineer moving out to the island to grab that reclaim. I do like the fact that the Zooeys are being put into use. Bone Collector definitely taking advantage of that hover ability. He's going to shoot across here, try to get a little bit of early stuff out. Did Hyena? He reclaimed it. He reclaimed the artillery without even coming out of the water. That is fantastic. Those Zooeys might cause a few little problems here and there. Maybe we'll see a bomber relatively soon. Several people are building air factories, so we'll just have to keep an eye out for that. And here comes an engineer. It is a reclaim war, and the winner is Syndicalist. Looks like Burfy was trying to do the same reclaim snatch as Rob is doing over here, but he was not quite as successful. Rob, on the other hand, is going to get the entirety of that Salem wreck before a Chief Jaguar can poke his head out of the water to kill off that engineer. Well done there, good sir. Well done. We'll have to check out your reclaim count in just a couple of minutes once you finish your initial build. There's a T1 bomber. Hyena getting a land factory down in order to claim this territory for his own. There is an engineer over there for Bone Collector, grabbing that reclaim, and here comes the bomber, laying down a hit on that mass extractor. Now, you don't actually want a lot of hits on the mass extractor. What you want are these hits on power. You can see damaging 5 P-gens with that one bomb. These Zooeys being a royal pain in the buttocks, hammering those T1 mexes on the outside. Two bombers working together, dropping bombs to eliminate the entirety of that P-Gen line. The adjacency is not so great. Well, let me rephrase that. Being in close proximity to each other is not so great for power generators because they do damage each other when they explode. That is going to finish off almost the entirety of Hyena's power. He has gotten a couple of Sky Slammers out, but they're very slow to knock bombers out of the air. And here we have another bomber for Burfy that's going to knock out 3 engineers and decrease Syndicalist's build power supply. Alright, so a little bit of early aggression. These guys poking and prodding at each other. Looks like a Chief Jaguar has got a bomber on the south side as well. I'm going to try to kill off a couple of engineers there. And, oh, the interceptor shot it down, but not quite soon enough. I'm going to still kill a couple of engineers with that suicide run. And a Chief Jaguar still flying around with that bomber. It's got 3 kills on it, rounded out to 4, and then the interceptors take it out. So, that is the early portion of the game. Looks like we're going to have a slight portion of calm before we go to war again over this middle ground. Looks like both players on the southern team have laid down land factories in order to try to lock down this island, but we do have Hover Arty, we do have an engineer over for the left side team. No play by the right. Although, more than likely, they're just trying to survive and get their infrastructure up because White, of course, got a hard hit on his power and his ACU is not in the home base. So he's going to have some issues getting built up there. I'm going to go ahead and bump the speed up just a little bit. A Chief Jaguar has got a handful of tanks and his ACU on the island. Rob does have his ACU as well as a point defense. That is going to do a fantastic job of denial versus the forces over there at this particular moment. Hyena and Bone Collector trading blows, but Hyena does have the advantage of a land factory feeding him a steady supply of Mantis. That damage potential is going to work wonders versus that ACU. If only his ACU was there to fight it as well. Looks like Hyena is just traveling out into the water. I'm not entirely sure why. While on the center island, Burfy's Mantis is going to take down that last mass extractor. One painfully tiny sliver of damage at a time. Bone Collector still using those Zooies to take out mechs on White's spawn point. This is upper level harassment right here. He is going all out on his attempts to shut this base down and being relatively successful at it. I still don't see any T2 mexes for Hyena, which is a huge problem considering the fact that he has got 2 naval factories online already and a third going up. He's only on 11 income. That has got to be a serious stall going on over there. Burfy has locked down his expansion. He's going to have those 3 mass extractors at his disposal along with some of that extra income. Has not even grabbed his destroyer and frigate yet. And he's sitting on all T2 mexes in his home base with the 5th upgrading as we speak. So lots to watch, lots to look at, and it looks like it's not slowing down in the slightest. Bombers coming in again, hitting the power. No! Well, at least the bombers got shot down. At least they were... Well, no, never mind. They are Seraphim bombers. There are no Aeon bombers. I was going to say, at least the P-Gen survived because of the reduced Aeon damage, but we don't have a single Aeon player in this game, so I don't need to be rambling on about Aeon units. Hyena taking a little shortcut across the landmass there. I'm sure he was well ready to take that center island, but other teams beat him to it. Rob forcing a Chief Jaguar back. He's got a Guncom paired with a pack of Zooies. Chief Jaguar's going to be hard pressed to make it to the water. That little dip and dodge getting rid of most of the artillery shots, preventing them hitting the commander for that added damage. He's going to make it into the water with about 2,400 health remaining. A little bit closer call than is desirable, but he is going to keep his ACU alive and retreat to fight another day. He does have T2 Navy online with a full suite of T2 mexes in his home base, though. That is going to give him the ability to build cruisers or destroyers, whichever one he desires, both of which can do a lot of damage. I would love to see some UEF cruiser action on here, Because if you get a pack of cruisers online, really there's nothing you can do to deny UEF cruisers. They're specifically designed to overwhelm TMD. Each missile kills, or each missile can survive a hit from a TMD. It takes 2 shots to take it down, and they fire in clumps of 3. So as long as you synchronize the firing patterns of your cruisers, you're able to overwhelm pretty much any fire base or position relatively mass efficiently with the cruisers. It's just not doable to build TMD to defend yourself. Lots of frigates online. There is a T2 factory, but it is currently paused, so he's not spitting out any units there, probably waiting to get yet more economy online. And then on the right-hand side, lots of stuff paused for Hyena. He is trying to catch up as well, restricted to his home 6 mass extractors, no expansion for you. I would have to say at this point, advantage is heavily towards the South team, even though that was a hard hit on the power supply right there. There's a T2 Gen very nearly done. Rob power stalling like a boss with that hit to his Gens, but he is going to get that thing online and get back in this fight. Thank goodness for frigate anti-air, because that's a lot of interceptors overhead, but they're all taking steady damage from all the frigates in the surrounding area. Those will also be able to drop bombers as they come in. There are Zooies on the way, wiping out a T1 mass extractor and another, actually, as they make their way southward. Hopefully these frigates will be able to react, move up there, and intercept those units. If not, there's going to be some damage done to this base. Yes, Rob has a lot of economy, but nobody needs to take a loss like that. Burfy seems to be on top of the pile at the moment. He has got 58 steady mass income, 7,300 reclaim. Rob is the one I'm interested in, 7,400 reclaim. So both of these guys got all of the reclaim on their expansion islands. Actually, I take that back. Syndicalist did get a small amount of the reclaim up here. He got those 2 wrecks, but not the rest of the island. So it was not all in the bag. Looks like a Chief Jaguar is third in line on score, pulling in 47 mass per tick, then 44 for Syndicalist, Bone Collector with 43, and Hyena with a measly 29. We all know who is behind on this one. There's a Destroyer out for Bone Collector. That means we've got both of these players at T2 Navy. T2 Destroyer out for Rob as well. It's going to be able to easily deal with the Tiger Sharks that were left over from the T1 phase on Chief Jaguar's Navy. He has stopped his factory from producing anything. He's just going to sit there and eco up a little bit more. It is a fine balance to strike. You can choose not to build combat units, and that does speed up your economy, which means that you have more ships later once you start building again. But the downside to that is that if your opponent is not upgrading mass extractors and is building combat units, you can't defend yourself with T3 mechs. T3 mechs have very, very low damage numbers. So yeah, don't try that. Zooey's edging up with Bone Collector's ACU. I'm kind of surprised that he doesn't have gun on that ACU by now, but they are going to try to edge back this little bit of an advanced base for the South team. Maybe at least they can get rid of the economy. That would be the big thing here. Take those mechs back from green. South right got a couple ready to upgrade. One has already done so, and it looks like he's going to be assisting that in just a moment. Is that resource allocation? That looks like resource allocation. So we've got 4 T2 gens with a variety of upgraded mass extractors for Burfy. He is going to be the first player to go RAS, and that's going to help his pair out. Because if he gets resource allocation, that means that he's going to be overflowing to his teammates. Going to work out very, very well for him. T2 Gunscom simply isn't enough to take the already established Rob out. Rob has a cruiser of his own out now. Along with that destroyer and a handful of frigates, he definitely has more things than a Chief Jaguar does. And a Chief Jaguar may be in a little bit of trouble here, as he's down to 10k HP and kind of stranded out in the water with that destroyer. He is building more destroyers in the back, though. Valiants will conquer the Seraphim destroyers, whatever those are called. Ithalua, whatever. Seraphim ships have very, very strange names. The Valiant does win. It has higher health and higher DPS, but should the Seraphim Destroyer submerge, it will win quite handily versus the Valiant. Cruiser's just going to stand back from the fight, try to get in a few kills versus a T2 Mass Extractor. But there is a Destroyer moving up from the back, and that is going to kind of kill this entire party for red. And you see there, I splayed the camera out by accident, and I actually did mark down which button sent me back to normal camera view. That is a lesson that I learned the hard way on one of these casts. Okay, Chief Jaguar does have the does have his commander safe. He is not in danger anymore. This is a good place to be, and he does have a shield boat behind his commander should he need to cover it up with something with a little more HP. Rob diving in and grabbing yet more reclaim, bumping his income up to 153 temporarily. Burfy's still ahead of him in score, though, although I would think that most of that is due to having resource allocation on his commander. That is going to bump up your score quite a lot with that extra power production. T1 bombers harassing the north side. Bone Collector doing his best to kill off some of that economy. Just keep the pressure on versus Hyena. It's two 1,500 players versus each other, so they really know that if they give the other person some slack, there's a good possibility that they will be hung with it. So you don't want to let up. Ever. Not ever. Manta's still maintaining control of the south side of the island. I am not entirely sure that this won't eventually fall, but for the moment it seems relatively secure. Rob still has his ACU on the island. He is now sending T2 tanks across, or he would be, were the Valiant's not there, and killing them. He is going to run, though. Oh, 500 health. I did not even realize those Valiants had been whittling down the commander. He is running for his base, and I do not blame him. That T2 gun comm, should it get into range, would kill him with 1 overcharge and 2 shots, even accounting for the regen. On the right-hand side, looks like Burfy is doing some damage to Syndicalist's base, and while I do like the idea of that, I'm wondering why he isn't moving his navy more to the left, because that would give them a chance to crush anything that a Chief Jaguar threw out. They do not need to lose this ACU right here, so they need to put a lot of good protection on it. Syndicalist is not a bad target, though. He does have T2 Navy. He's pushing out a destroyer and a cruiser from his Cybern factory, and there is the interceptor on the landing pad for that cruiser. An underutilized ability. The Cybern cruisers, what do you call that? Refueling station, air pad, whatever it is. It heals up and refuels aircraft and does a dang good job of it. We've got 4 Valiants now. I know they don't have a whole lot of torpedo damage for any one of them, but all of them together, that's 120 DPS, which is more than enough to kill this severely wounded ACU. The ACU's probably getting T2. That's what I would get. Dump some extra health on that commander. And he is almost done. What's it going to be, son? It is the T2 upgrade. More regen, more HP, and a T2 build suite with which to better defend your commander. Why are you climbing out of the water? That is a horrible idea. Chief Jaguar stepping too close to the 3 destroyers that were out there in the water. Actually, there's 4. 3 of them were firing. Rob unleashing some fire upon that commander. They've got roughly even health scores. Oh, there's a strap bomber. No! Oh, it's for Burfy. Never mind. That does not matter. It's his teammate. That's going to save him. Valiant's hitting the ACU. No! A Chief Jaguar sacrificing his destroyer count for the sake of landing those critical shots. Rob did not dodge with his commander. That probably would have helped him out. And now there's going to be serious problems for Burfy because he has enough navy to counter what Syndicalist is throwing at him. But now we have a Cooper, 2 Coopers, 2 destroyers, and a cruiser on the left-hand side that he has absolutely no way to deal with. Whichever side he attacks, he'll win versus either one, but not both of them put together or splitting his units to go after both at the same time. This is going to put him in an interesting spot. We'll have to see how he handles himself. He is taking some damage, losing a T2 mech. Those Valiants just getting up in there and harassing. You never ever let up. I know I said that one time already, but look, there's a T2 mass extractor down. That's a potential 9 mass per tick that he has just knocked out for Burfy, that he will have to get back out there and reclaim and rebuild. Any little thing can help. Probably won't decide the game by itself, but a lot of little things stacked up do win games. Interceptors are not going to be a great match versus ASF, but you know what? Over cruisers, anything goes well for you as far as air fights go. We've got 3 destroyers in the base here trying to knock out naval production, hammering down that T2 naval factory. But there's multiple Salems moving in, frigates, T1 subs, all manner of nastiness coming in to try to save this base. All the destroyers down, the frigates going down as we speak. 2,500 health left on that T2 HQ. I think they will be fine. Burfy is going to lose his expansion out here though, or at least the 2 mass extractors on it. I don't think those can reach that, but they could come around this side and do it quite well. Oh, the Valiant moving up, hammering away at the T2 P-Gens. Good thing Burfy has resource allocation, because otherwise this would end very, very badly for him. 4 Salems up under the cover of a cloak ship. The Mermaid providing a little bit of protection there. Yeah, it's not quite as good as a Bulwark. You don't get the straight up HP increase, but if you can't see it, you can't hit it. So it does accomplish its purpose quite nicely. Those beautiful T3 mechs, I'd hate to see them go down, but it looks like we are going to lose a couple of them. Burfy took the long way around the island, chasing a couple of units over there, and now he is coming back towards the Salems that are hammering down on his build power at the moment. Not sure why they were retargeted from the T3 mass extractor, but whatever the reason may be, those mechs are going to stay alive for now. He has lost just about all of his build power, though. Burfy losing all those engineers, that's not going to be good for his chances. He still has a pretty substantial income, definitely on par with anything else that anybody has, but if you don't have the build power to do something with it, you're going to run into just as many problems as if you didn't have the economy in the first place. He is only overflowing by about 30 per tick on average, so that doesn't matter too much. He can just drop another T3 mass extractor upgrade and he'll be fine, but he does have to think about combat production very, very shortly. Hyena has taken the brave path. He has got the torpedo upgrade along with stealth and T2 on his ACU. He is out hitting up these Valiants and trying to keep the navies back on the north side. A lot of people underestimate how powerful this commander is. 200 plus DPS on the torps on tremendous range. But the bad thing about it is actually what a Chief Jaguar is building right here. I was about to mention this. You can get torp bombed, and it will not end well for you. If you don't have cruisers or shields or something to protect your ACU with, you are going to end up dead. Even though you are, by yourself, a match for a couple of destroyers. There goes a T2 down to 490 HP, and he is going to have to stand off for a bit. The harassment is real. Syndicalist just pounding on this base, eliminating more economy. T3 mexes are down to 1 T2, 2 T2s, 3, and a handful of T1 mass extractors. Burfy is not doing so hot, but he does still have a pile of reclaim scattered around in his base. Hyena stepping back some as more destroyers bear down on him. No, the Valiants don't have a whole lot of DPS, so I don't think that's a huge issue, but this is a problem. We've got T2 bombers moving in. We've got no cruisers to protect. There's only 3 interceptors to protect, and Hyena is down to 7,000 HP already. He is too far away from the beach. Trying to figure out which one to run for, but neither one is close enough. Here comes the boom. Torps dropping, and there it is. ACU is down. Hyena throwing out the GG there. There are certain things you don't do at certain points in the game and certain things you don't do ever, and one of those things is putting your commander out in the water when you have no means of protecting it. Because an air snipe like that, you are just asking for it, son. Burfy chilling in the water in the back here. Looks like he does have T2 and the resource allocation on his ACU. He's got some build power up, trying to pump out those destroyers. But versus a total of 7, and even if he does kill this one with only 200 health, that still leaves 7 because there's another from the back. Yeah, he has not got long to live. T2HQ going down, ACU very shortly to join it. Lots of torpedo damage on Salem's. That ACU is not going to fare very well. Alright, another person who's in the water, that would be Syndicalist. But you know what? I'm going to call this one different because he's sitting under a SAM with a T3 torpedo launcher right next to him, just in case any kind of Navy comes his way. And he's building a Monkey Lord, and he's got a naval factory right next to him. So even if someone does scout that ACU, he has a reasonably good chance of surviving. Personally, I still wouldn't be out there because there are torpedo bombers, as mentioned before, but he's in a much better position than his teammate was. Of course, the cruisers do help as well, and if you're standing under the stealth field of both a mermaid and a flood, I think you're going to be fine. That Monkey Lord is just about finished. Going to have to wait and see where he sends it off to. Nobody around here really has a means to deny that Monkey Lord. There's no other T4s on the map, even remotely close to ready. There are no clumps of T3 units. The only pack of destroyers and T2 damage belongs to Syndicate himself, Syndicalist. Yeah, I'm not really seeing how this ends well. T2 Naval Factory pumping away for a Chief Jaguar there, and T2 the same for Bone Collector, who is on T2 ACU. Not sure what upgrade he's getting. It's not showing me the income. Unless it showed in the chat. Upgrading resource allocation. There it is. Well, the torpedo bombers no longer have an ACU to target, but they can definitely target something, going after this impressive navy that Syndicalist is putting together. The Dark Heart is one of those maps where it's perfectly spaced. You can go T2 land, you can use hover, you can access the entire map with hover in a reasonable amount of time, and the navy is only slightly advantageous in the early stages of the game. Once you start moving up to this point, though, the navy becomes critical because, especially with the 80 range destroyers of Aeon and Cybern, and to a certain degree with the UAF cruisers and the Seraphim cruisers, you can just eat bases. If you gain the upper hand with navy, you can access the entirety of all this territory with a handful of ships and eliminate all the income that can be found. And speaking of eliminating income, we've got a Monkey Lord hitting the shore. Bone Collector still chilling out in the water. Chief Jaguar has got resource allocation, shield, and T3. He doesn't have the extra range that gun brings. He is sure to survive a few seconds of interaction with that Monkey Lord. Lots and lots of health. 24,000 plus 21,000. Buttload of HP on that commander. There he is, landing one overcharge, landing another overcharge, and a third, possibly a fourth overcharge to finish off that ACU. I think Bone Collector poked his head out of the water momentarily trying to get in on that. Took a lot of damage in the process. We do have a T3 HQ online for both Bone Collector and a Chief Jaguar. Interesting that both of them would drop T3 at the same time, because I halfway think that it might have been advantageous for the Seraphim player to stay on T2 to spam up those incredibly useful destroyers that they have, near impervious to hover because of the way that their weapons work. And this way, both of their factories stalled at the same time, where they weren't building any units while they were transitioning from T2 to T3. But that is going to work out for them, I think. There is a battle cruiser out. It's already got 3 kills, and it's racking them up quite quickly, because destroyers do not fare well versus direct fire beams of a UEF battlecruiser. UEF just has a badass navy all the way around. You can't deny that. The best battleship, hands down, the battlecruiser, which is king of the seas. It just doesn't really get any better than that. Salem still hammering the shoreline, trying to get a Chief Jaguar, but he is not going to go down that easily. Still got a little bit of his shield intact and definitely has a lot of control over his ACU, good experience dodging all of this fire coming in. Probably some of that is from the cast, because he does get in on the live cast quite often, and people do try to snipe you on there. So yeah, you get a little experience in surviving and not dying. Cruiser taking some fire from the Monkey Lord. Although, I'm not sure who would win in a torp damage contest. They both have a lot of HP, they both have really crappy torpedoes. I would tend to think that the Monkey Lord would win strictly because it has more health. They both have abysmal numbers as far as that goes. One thing that the battlecruiser does have that's not abysmal, though, is damage. 500 something damage per second, ripping through that Monkey Lord, accompanied by a broadsword and a Chief Jaguar thinking about walking out of the water just in case he needs to, just in case he needs that extra little bump to kill that Monkey Lord, which he doesn't. There it goes, crashing down. Now, you may be looking at this and saying, you know what, the left side does not look good at all because they've lost pretty much their entire economy, so what are they going to do now? Well, I say to you, rebuild some power and reclaim your way to victory, because the right-hand team left quite a bit of mass over here. There are 2 Monkey Lord wrecks, a whole lot of naval wrecks which are worth about 1,000 mass apiece, and then look at all of the reclaim that is available out here. It is a beautiful sight to behold, just waiting to be turned into more machines of war and thrown back at your enemy. Looks like Syndicalist trying to steal a little bit of reclaim there with the T1 engineers moving out. Not much reclaim left to be had over here. It's been pretty well swept. And now Burfy's building Monkey Lords. He's got 2 of them. One completely built, one nearly done. And that is just taking it up a notch. Syndicalist built another. He only has 1 though, but he is building battleships and stocking them over here. I can tell you what that's all about. He is getting ready for the inevitable arrival, I can't even talk today, of the battlecruisers. Battlecruisers coming around the corner here. Cybern battleships will win out if they do have an opportunity to strike first. If you don't have intel, if you have 3 battlecruisers right in the middle of 3 battleships, it's a much closer fight. I think the battleships probably still win. They have quite superior health and only a little less damage. But when they have a bunch of opportunity to fire as the battlecruisers are approaching, it strictly makes the win so much greater there. Now, on a mass for mass comparison, battlecruisers win hand over fist. I mean, you can't even compare them because battlecruisers are cheaper than battleships. It's way more damage per mass with not quite as much HP is what it boils down to. The range is the biggest difference, but if you're comparing strictly numbers 3 to 3, the battleships will win the vast majority of the time. Torpedo bombers out, trying to tear up this Summit class, the fear of the UEF Navy. Whittling it down ever so slowly as the T2 subs move up from the back. T2 subs versus UEF Navy is actually a really good option because you can spam up quite a few T2 subs. You don't have to fight for the entire game using them. But what you can do is force your opponent to start building Coopers. And once your opponent starts building Coopers, that means they're not investing in more battleships and mainline units, and you have a pretty good chance of catching up and killing them. The T3 subs do throw a little bit of a wrench in the works, though. They can kite a little bit, but it's a bit of a disadvantage on this map because there's all these tight corners in the waterways. And there is an ACU death. I'm glad the camera was where it's at. Just barely caught it in the peripheral. That Monkey Lord finished, marched directly across the map in a beeline for Bone Collector's commander and killed that son of a gun. It's going to knock out of commission all the T3 subs that were bothering him so much. It's going to free up the sub hunters to move down and start attacking this battleship. And that is going to end up being very bad for a Chief Jaguar. He does still have some more reclaim. He's going to have a Yathatha and this entire base to recycle into better things. And I do like the Summit there, firing right across the island, See if we can capture another firing pattern. Apparently we cannot. There's return fire from the cyber battleships. The Navy fight is real on this map. Monkey Lords for Burfy moving up through the middle. Looks like they are targeted to the right. It's going to go after the production for Syndicalist. I don't think he's got anything that is going to survive 2 Monkey Lords. I mean, seriously. He's got nothing in his base to deny that. I thought Burfy was completely out of this game, but Syndicalist abandoned his attack when he very well could have killed that commander there. I think it was on the request of his teammate to focus more on Achieve Jaguar and Bone Collector because they were more of a threat. And now Burfy has rebuilt. He reclaimed his way to 2 Monkey Lords. And now those 2 Monkey Lords are about to absolutely shred this base over here. Burfy does have a laser as well. It's going to be interesting to see what he does with that. Is he going to go for... He can't get Telemazer. He has no power. He has no ability to get that. Alright. Cooper's in the mix now, but there are simply too many T2 subs. It's basically one volley to kill each of these Coopers, and then that is that. SACU going down. Monkey Lord killing off a PGen, Quantum Gateway, and eating away at the build power. The long-range cannons hitting the SAMs and engineers out here next to the factory. The battleships have moved back just a little bit, though, trying to nail down this forward Monkey Lord, which is down to about half health now. Under 20k on 54,000 total health. Picked up a couple of veterancy there and may pick up another. It's only 35 points off. Getting that mass extractor will put it well on its way. Nope, there it is. Death. Battleship going down right as it exits the factory, and the HQ going down for Syndicalist. That is not a good thing. He canceled his laser upgrade because he lost all of his power. His base is now barren, and he better move all those engineers, yes, so he doesn't vet that Monkey Lord. Now, Monkey Lord right next to your commander firing torpedoes at you is normally a really bad thing, but you know what? When you got a harm right next to you, it's not that bad. I think the Monkey Lord would die first. Syndicalist and Achieve Jaguar asking peace from each other. I think that's probably due to the fact that 2 Monkey Lords just showed up out of nowhere for Burfy. They've realized that he is not as dead as he appeared to be just a few minutes ago. That Monkey Lord's still just going to town on all of this base. Syndicalist down to 57 mass per tick, and I'm not even sure where he's getting the 57 from. Probably from resource allocation and a resource allocation SACU. That makes sense. Can you get it? Nope. The answer is no. 4 battleships. Too much for that Monkey Lord. On the south side, yet another monkey coming for Burfy. Come on, bud. Either overcharge it to death, do something. You've got Mazer. There's Mazer. Why? Oh, he didn't have overcharge. No. He built the energy storage, which burned up all the time that he could have been overcharging and damaging. He might, maybe, have been able to kill that Monkey Lord. But that is that. He is dead. And now it's between Syndicalist and Achieve Jaguar. And at the moment, both of their bases are in tatters. Syndicalist has no base at all. Achieve Jaguar is just now starting to rebuild his base. He does have a T3 air factories, funnily enough. Is that a... Oh, that is a nuke sub launching TAC missiles. Oh my goodness. Is he really doing this? He has the income for it. He has almost got it loaded. Holy cow. He is going to pull a nuke sub out of this. Well, that changes things quite drastically. You can't get super close because he's got a whole navy up here and harms down here. But if he gets relatively close and launches, he might be able to get a point-blank kill versus Syndicalist's ACU. You can do it! You can do it! I have new hope for this. Alright. Oh, this is where the extra income was coming from for Syndicalist. Good deal. Let's check out the reclaim numbers, because there's been a lot of T4s dropped all over this map. Syndicalist rocking 66,000 reclaim. Achieve Jaguar on 109 reclaim. Who was I kidding? He is way ahead. Alright, he's control K'd all of his engineers. Nothing for the Monkey Lord to vet on. He is now trekking southward with that nuke sub. It does have one in the chamber. This is what it comes down to, folks. Nuke sub versus overwhelming naval force. And remember that this is not Cybern, so it is not stealthed. Let's look at Syndicalist's view. He does have it, but he doesn't know what it is. It's on radar. Okay then, Monkey Lord taking out the last of a Chief Jaguar's base in the back. He's down to 3 T1 mass extractors in his resource allocation ACU, which is still enough to keep firing away with all of those strategic missiles, or attack launchers, I should say. Moving up, moving up. He better launch soon because there's 3 T2 subs there. That nuke sub will die really, really quickly. There it is! Where'd it go? What? Did the... I think the torps from the Barracudas might have killed the nuke. What on earth was that? Is that a known bug? He wouldn't have killed him anyway because Syndicalist was running for the hills. I think Syndicalist would have gotten well clear of the small nuke blast from an ace, but now a Chief Jaguar is going down. That is so weird. So very, very weird. Alright, nuke sub is down. Here comes the torps. Chief Jaguar's shield has been broken. And that is going to be the end of that commander. That is so weird. I may have to go back and watch and see exactly what happened to that nuke. Somebody drop it in the comments. Is that a known bug where the strategic sub loses its nuke? Or was that torpedoes? We may never know. I'll post it in the comments. I'm going to rewatch this thing from the beginning and see what comes of it. I may record it if I find out that it's anything good. Alrighty, guys. That is that as always. Thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to send me some replays, and I will see you in the next one.